Hey everybody, and welcome to the live show. We're doing 3 a week now. People are stuck at home, and I hope you're settling into kind of a routine with this sort of self-isolation and quarantine that we're all going through. It's no fun to be stuck at home a lot and doing the same thing day after day. And you know, for a lot of people, it's not doing much. I try to take some of the time off on the weekend. So this weekend I've been doing just sort of hanging around, which has been kind of nice. Some projects to do on the house, and of course the videos still continue. What did we put out yesterday? We did the Sonata that went up yesterday. So going to be doing more live things here. So anyway, just wanted to say welcome to the show. Any updates? Well, tonight at 9, what time is it? 11 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Pacific, they're doing a live press conference from Korea for the new Genesis G80. And the G80 is really the heart of the Genesis family. For those that are not aware, when Hyundai developed the very first Genesis car, it was just one model, and that was basically what turned into the G80. So they're coming out with the all-new version of that. It's going to be streamed live tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, and I will be doing a quick video. I'm going to turn the video around. I actually have the information sent to me under embargo. I can tell you all about it, but I won't because it's not due to come out for a little while. But that's going to be happening tonight, so keep an eye out for that quick video. What else going on? Detroit Auto Show, another casualty of COVID-19. Geneva Motor Show is the first show to be canceled. New York Auto Show postponed. We'll see when that actually gets picked up. Detroit Auto Show is now being canceled. It was due to be in June. They're going to be using Cobo Hall and the convention center there as an overflow hospital. And it's interesting because the Javits Center in New York City, which is where the New York Auto Show was going to be taking place next week, the 6th, a week tomorrow. We were supposed to be in New York for the auto show. That is also being turned into an overflow hospital. So who would have ever thought that we'd be going through this? I mean, is it just me, or does this seem like we're in some kind of crazy movie? It's so weird. Anyway, other thing is Car Cost Canada. A lot of vehicle sales have been suspended. Dealerships are being told to shut. It's only essential services. That hasn't been made the case here in British Columbia. That's really for Quebec and Ontario. Some other provinces have done that. But I just want to let you know that once cars start to be sold again and dealerships are open, you're going to want to be a Car Cost Canada member. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH, the name of the channel, and become an expert member. And when you do that, it will open up a bunch of free searches for you. There's going to be all kinds of deals coming online. So the first of the month is later this week of April. You'll start to see all kinds of incentives. I've already seen General Motors put their interest rates down to 0. That's going to be quite common, I believe, because money is available for banks to lend at pretty much 0% interest rates. So we'll see that. We'll see cash on the hood of cars. There's going to be lots of incentives. Also, I did it. I finally set up a Patreon account. So when you get a moment, after this video has been live, like we're doing it live now, when it's been posted after the fact, there'll be a link there to do some Patreon stuff, if you feel inclined. The limits are set at $5, $15, and $150, I should say. Now, before you roll your eyes too much, I'm doing that as a one-off. You can pay the $150, and I will be here as your personal kind of guide to buying your car through email and through phone calls. So if you're looking to buy a car and you want some advice personally from me, that is available for that fee. All right, here we go. I hope everyone out there is safe and in good health. One of the few perks during this crisis that we have more Q&As with Zach. By the way, is Andrea your wife's real name? Yes, it is. Excuse me. I think you're referring to the fact that the Zach Spencer is a fake name. I made it up, but you're not going to find out the real name. My car question of the week what was your dream car when you were still studying? Did you ever get to drive by it? Yes, my dream car for many years. I've got two cars that I've always wanted to own, and one I haven't, but I've driven. It's interesting because here it is. Here's one right here. I bought this when I was 11 years old. That's Carrera. I bought that at a toy store in Scotland when I was visiting my family in Scotland back then. And I always wanted to have a Porsche. So you know all those ads you see from Porsche saying the little kid looking in the window and one day I'll own a Porsche or I'll drive a Porsche? That stuff really happens. And when I started reviewing cars in the early 90s, the very first press car that I had a chance to drive was a 993, an air-cooled Porsche 993 Cabriolet. And Andrea and I had just started dating, my wife and I. And it was polar silver with a blue interior and a blue roof. And I just loved that car. And I said, one day I will own one of these. And I actually was fortunate to own two of them. So yes, that's one of my dream cars. And the other one is an E39 BMW M5. And that is manual transmission, naturally aspirated V8, rear wheel drive only. E39 M5 is, in my opinion, the sort of pinnacle of BMW M cars. All right. There are a large number of 2-liter 4-cylinder turbos that are powering 4,000-pound SUVs. Have to wonder, long-term, their reliability will be. Many are getting low 20s MPGs, which is not great. One of the things that I've noticed driving these vehicles is when you look at, and this is a common complaint, it has been ever since I started reviewing cars, the official numbers, what the EPA numbers or the official Transport Canada numbers are just not realistic. And when you have a small engine that you're asking to do a lot of work, the fuel economy suffers. So there's two ways to look at it. You have a larger displacement engine that doesn't work that hard, or you have a smaller engine that is working harder. And I find that the fuel economy numbers just don't stack up because these small engines are working hard. And I agree with you. So, for example, the new GLE, the new Mercedes-Benz GLE, the base engine is a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. It's a pretty big SUV, even has an available third row of seats. Now, I personally would opt for the inline 6-cylinder in that particular vehicle, but yeah, I totally agree with you. And one of the reasons why I love diesels in utility vehicles, I think it's a great way to go. And don't start going on about they're bad for the world and we're all going to go to hell and Greta Thunberg will be leading the parade. Diesels actually have low carbon emissions because carbon emissions are a direct result of fuel economy. So if you have like a 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel doing all the work of moving a big heavy SUV, it's actually producing less CO2 into the atmosphere. CO2 is a direct result of fuel economy. So the better fuel economy you have, you put out less CO2. And that's true of any vehicle. Do you see various manufacturers lowering their interest rates due to COVID-19? Recently bought a 2020 CX-5 Signature with 5 years at 2.25%. Well, first of all, you made an excellent purchase. That is one hell of a car, and you are going to absolutely love the CX-5. I think it's a great, great product. Now, 2.25% is good. That's cheap money. That's cheap, cheap money. I think it's going down to 0.9%, 0%, 1.9%. You can't lose sleep over it. Enjoy your car. You're going to love it. But there you go. I think that, we're going to see lowered interest rates. We're going to see incentives, meaning $2,000, $3,000 off. You're also going to see extended warranties added. You're going to see all kinds of things. And you won't maybe know all of those unless you go to Car Cost Canada and sign up. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH. It really will open your world and your eyes to what is actually available when you're shopping for a car. Hey Zach, I was a big fan. What's the car to buy if you were looking for a used Porsche? First time driving a Porsche, under 40,000 budget. If it was me buying, if I could pick any Porsche to buy for myself, it would be the GT3 touring. If anybody follows this channel, you can watch the video I did of that car. Absolutely, hands down, my favorite. But if you're looking for a Porsche used under $40,000, now, Jack, please write back underneath, are you looking for a car or are you looking for a utility? That's going to make a big difference. If it's a car, you get a Boxster, okay? Jason says, hey, Zach, Mercedes GLB or Q3? This question came up the other day. There's no wrong answer here. I'll give you the high and low points of each. GLB, as you know, is available with the third row seats if you want it. It's not cheap, $1,700 option. Unlike the Tiguan, for example, which is only $750 to get the third row seats. So Mercedes is being quite cheeky with the pricing of that particular option. If you're just looking at it as a 2-row, 5-passenger, small utility, they're both excellent choices. You might not know. I'll run through what you have here. The GLB is basically the front-wheel drive based. It's an all-wheel drive vehicle, but it's a front-wheel drive based small car platform. They're A-class platform that they use for many different vehicles, like the CLA and so on. And they've turned it into a utility vehicle, which is different than the GLC, which is based on the C-Class. That's a rear-wheel bias all-wheel drive system, okay? Then you get into the Q3. The Q3 is really the short wheelbase Tiguan that we don't get in North America with the GTI engine in there, 228 horsepower, I believe. And so they're both excellent choices. I thoroughly enjoyed driving the GLB. I thought it was a great little engine, lots of fun. Styling maybe isn't as nice looking as the Q3. There is no wrong answer. Try them both and see which one works for you and your family. Jeff Edgar, hi Zach, just watched your review of the Mazda CX-30. I know you're also a fan of the Hyundai Kona. So if it was your own money, which one would you pick? These are quite different products, and you really have to come down to what is it that is at your core in terms of what you want. Do you want a little bit of luxury and a little bit more refinement? Then you're going to go and get that Mazda. Because the interior materials, the infotainment system with the controller in the center, it's very sort of premium car-like. The Kona, on the other hand, all of the dash is covered with hard plastic. It looks good, it's functional, the radio is great, the infotainment system is easy to use and all those sorts of things, but it is not even close to the Mazda in terms of the level of refinement when you get into the inside materials. Now the Kona, on all but the base model, I believe, has independent rear suspension, and the CX-30 has a torsion beam rear suspension, isn't available with an independent rear suspension. I would say the Kona's maybe a little, believe it or not, the Kona's maybe a little sportier feeling, and the CX-30 is feeling like the interior, more premium and upscale. I say you try them both, same as the GLB Q3 question. There is no wrong answer here. They're both excellent products. Often, what it comes down to is the tie. Who's got the better deal? Who's got the better interest rates? Which one's going to be a better monthly payment? Often, when you get two cars like this and you like them both, it comes down to price. So that's what I would look for. Do you know if the Q5 is up for a refresh? Just follow the cadence. When vehicles come out, and yes, I think based on the fact there is a new GLC coming from Mercedes-Benz, and there's also just a new X3 that came onto the marketplace last year. And if you look at the cadence of their vehicles, it's probably not going to be significant from Audi because the last model was really quite significant. I suspect it's going to be a heavily revised facelift. Raul says, hey Zach, I have a 19 Volvo XC90 Inscription and I'm thinking about switching to electric. I'm decided between the Model X and the e-tron. What are your thoughts, please? I answered this last week. Or the other day. Was it even last week? But thank you for being here again. I appreciate it. Comes down to price. Audi e-tron is a lot less expensive. Audi e-tron is a faster charging vehicle. Doesn't have the range in the battery. In my opinion, when you get on the inside of them, there is no comparison between the Audi and the Tesla when it comes to interior fit, finish, and materials. The Audi is clearly head and shoulders above it. So I suggest you get out there and try them and see what fits your budget. Paul says, are auto manufacturers upset when you do a review that is not favorable? It's all in how you do it. Like the thing is, first of all, I will say, and people ask me this all the time, there are no crap cars anymore. Like years ago, there used to be real crap cars. There are very few cars that are really just not good. Okay, so what it comes down to is varying shades of gray, and what you try to do is say, I don't like this, but maybe it's fine for you, because a lot of people ask me about comfort and seats and all that kind of stuff. It's very individual. Like what I find comfortable might not be comfortable for somebody else. And what I can live with in terms of ergonomics and the way the car is laid out, others might not like it. So it really is personal. So what I try to do, and you'll often see, is to say, if you're trying this out, check this out to see if you like it. I find it's not comfortable. I couldn't get used to this. See if you can live with it. And that's often what it comes down to. But there, it's all in how you do it. I think I have a very good relationship with the auto manufacturers. I think I have a long history of doing this. I've been doing it for since 1992. I'm well known in the Canadian marketplace on TV and here on YouTube. And people trust what I'm going to say is not going to be a hatchet job. I'm not out to hatchet anybody, but I will point out things if they need to be pointed out. Camaro or Ford Mustang GT, which is faster and louder? I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, you'd have to do back-to-back comparison. Steve says, hey, Zach, would you compare the new X5 e-hybrid to the Porsche e-hybrid? Thanks. I don't know enough about that one, to be honest with you. I have driven the Porsche, of course. I don't know enough about the X5 e-hybrid. Here's the main thrust of what I'm going to say, though, is that this is going to be the push from the German manufacturers. So, of course, Porsche and the Volkswagen Group is going to have their electrified cars, fully battery electric vehicles. From Daimler and from BMW, you're going to see a lot of plug-in hybrids. And it makes the most sense for a lot of people to have that 30, 40, 50, 80 kilometers of electric, and then the range of having a gasoline engine on board. I haven't driven that particular vehicle, so I can't say, but yeah, that's all I can tell you. Josh, good to see you, brother. Always here. I appreciate you always being here, Josh. Hey, Zach, my dad's Range Rover Sport lease is up, and he will lease something for 4 summer months, considering a used 911 C2S, a 2016 M6, a 2015 F-Type S. Your thoughts? He likes comfy but powerful. Comfy and powerful? Well, comfy and powerful, probably the M6 would be right up there. The F-Type, you can never go wrong with a 911, like honestly. But if you're looking for comfy, yeah, it's going to be the M. Are these convertibles? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it's probably, if you're looking for the most comfortable and easy to use, probably the M6. Jason says, some of the new cars come with an ionizer. You think we should make this as standard on every car after COVID-19 pandemic? No, I don't think so. DJ Pleasure Seeking Missile is back. Hello again, Zach. What are your thoughts on the Honda E? Will they bring it to North America? From what I understand, that's the little Honda full electric that looks like the original Civic. From what I understand, it's not for our North American market. They'll probably bring, you guessed it, some kind of utility. Fareed, hey, nice to see you here from Richmond Hill, Ontario. Always here, subscribed and enjoying your work. Just check to see if watching your previous videos also helps, brings any money. Well, the way it works on YouTube is anytime somebody watches a video, it helps. So Fareed, get at it, man. One video at a time, play them all. So I appreciate it. Rick says, hey, Zach, want to buy a used diesel SUV. Your thoughts on a 2014-ish Touareg TDI versus Grand Cherokee diesel versus Porsche Cayenne diesel. If it was my opinion, I would also throw in there an X5 diesel now, or even a GLE diesel. But please, with all of these cars now 6 years old, you're looking at vehicles that need to have an inspection done by somebody that, first of all, knows the brand you're considering, and second of all, knows diesels, okay? So the one thing about the engine part is that they will run for a long, long time. But diesels need to be maintained in a certain way, and you have to know what that is. So you please need to get it inspected by somebody that knows the brand that you're considering and also knows diesels. I would take the Grand Cherokee out of the equation because the early Grand Cherokees, even though they had the Via Motori diesel, the 6-cylinder, there were some problems with those. They might have been sorted out, but probably just take the Grand Cherokee out. You want to go with the European imports that have a much longer history of producing diesels. So the Touareg and the Cayenne use the same engine. You can look at an Audi Q5 as another vehicle. All of them use that Volkswagen-derived engine. And so basically shop on price on which one is going to fit your budget. Is it the Touareg? Is it the Cayenne? Is it a Q7? The other one I want you to throw, the other two I want you to throw in there are the X5 and the GLE. Both were available with diesel engines. The BMW was the power star, had loads of torque. It really was the monster in terms of power. But especially with the BMW, you really have to make sure the car has been looked after because, in my opinion, BMWs out of warranty can be very expensive to keep running. If it was for me, it would be between the TDI, Touareg, and the Cayenne. So look for those. Make sure that you have all of the paperwork and get them inspected by somebody that knows the brand and diesels. I have a Cayenne diesel, absolutely. I was out getting fuel in it today and driving it around, and man, what a great engine. What a great engine. I used my Car Cost Canada account to get my 3% above invoice on my CX5 signature. Well, ding dong, there you go. I love to hear it. Good for you, Mark. So there you go. Mark, 89 GTI. I'm guessing there used to be an 89 GTI in your previous life. So that's a perfect example. Car Cost Canada, find the dealer invoice. Car Cost Canada is exactly the name. Find out what the car costs for the dealer to buy, the incentives, the rebates, and any kind of hidden incentives, and also interest rates that are being discounted that might not be public. So sign up. If you're looking for a car and you have a great level of employment, you know who has the greatest job security in all of Canada right now? Are the civil servants that are trying to roll out all the EI for everybody across the country. And tip my hat to those people in Ottawa and Gatineau or wherever they are around the Ottawa area that are going to be getting all of that process, because I think it's probably going to be 2 or 3 million people are going to be signing up for POGI, and so they have a secure job. If you have time to lift your head up and you're looking for a car, sign up. All right. Shinmei, hey Zach, love your show. In one of your videos you mentioned if you have rear-wheel drive and a good set of winter tires, there's no need for all-wheel drive for Canadian winters. So all-wheel drive is really necessary. All right, let me clear the air. Andrea and I were driving this Sonata. The video went up yesterday, and I got to tell you, men are men. You put a picture of a woman in front of a car, more people watch it. Who would have thought? So anyway, we were talking about the Sonata, and I asked Andrea, I said, if you were buying a car today, because she used to be years ago in outside sales for Pepsi. When we first got married, my wife was in outside sales for Pepsi, and she had a Honda Accord. And I said to her, if you were doing the same job today, would you drive a sedan, or would you just go right to buying an SUV? And she said, well, I'd want to have an SUV because I want to be safer in driving in the winter. And I said, well, if you get a sedan, whether it's front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, and you put good winter tires, good winter tires on it, you're going to be able to get pretty much anywhere you need to go. And it is absolutely true. The only qualifier I will make there, if you have an option to buy a car or an SUV that has all-wheel drive or not all-wheel drive, buy the one with all-wheel drive, only purely because of resale value. For example, I had a friend who had a 5 Series BMW, or he was buying a 5 Series BMW. All of the used 5 Series BMW that were rear-wheel drive only were thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars less than the all-wheel drive versions. So just purely for resale value, consider it. And some people commented, and they agreed with my philosophy. One person made a comment which was perfect, lives in Montreal, in outside sales, has been driving a Toyota 4Runner or a Toyota Highlander with all-wheel drive, and then just switched to a Lexus ES sedan, but they put on good winter tires, and they went everywhere through a Quebec winter, and that's the most severe you're going to get in Canada, or maybe a Newfoundland winter, and they were perfectly fine. Plus, it saved a lot of money because they're not nearly as hard on gas. So really think about whether you need it. But if it's available, get the one with all-wheel drive for resale. Alec McLean. Hey, Zach. Any thoughts on the BMW i4? Do you think the big manufacturers will start to eat into Tesla's market share in a major way? Not in a major way. Tesla has a massive lead in terms of sales of electric cars. It is a long, long way ahead on quite a few fronts. Now, what the legacy car makers like BMW have is they have manufacturing capability. They also have research and development capability. And the biggest one is they have the ability to amortize their costs over many more vehicles than Tesla. So Tesla on, well, maybe not now with this whole thing, but sort of anywhere between 450,000 cars this year. But that's really peanuts in comparison to some legacy brands. Like one factory for one of the big manufacturers is what Tesla will make worldwide. So are they going to get into Tesla's market share in a major way? It's going to be, if it's going to be death, it's going to be death by 1,000 cuts. It's going to be all brands. But these cars have to be as good, if not better. And that's one of the things you have to think about, is that Tesla's, whatever they've been able to bottle, people seem to want it. Adu says, hi from Edmonton, loving these live chats a couple days a week. Well, yeah, I thought, it was my wife who said, actually, beautiful Andrea, there she is again, she's a smart one. She says, why don't you do more of them during the week? People are stuck at home, they got nothing to do. So here we are, 3 days a week. So it's going to be Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Unless something major comes up. What are your thoughts about the impact of the car industry in the current situation, world and Canadian market? Well, Carlos, most car manufacturing has been shut down in Europe and North America. I believe China is still churning out cars, and the Hubei province, which is shut down, is a major industrial area in China, and that's slowly being released. And the good news for car brands that have a presence in China is that China is the biggest car market in the world. So, and very important for luxury brands like BMW, very important for Volkswagen. You might not know this, but Volkswagen is the biggest car brand in Volkswagen Group, sells more cars in China than anybody else. You wouldn't know that until you go there and you see Volkswagens everywhere. 1 in 5 vehicles in China is a part of the Volkswagen Group, which includes Audi, Porsche, Bentley, all the different brands. But Volkswagen is the core. So that's the bright light. The downside is in North America and in Europe especially, it's going to be I don't think, to be honest with you, looking at the numbers in the United States for this COVID-19 and how they're just growing exponentially, I mean, they're going to be, what are they, about 125 or 130,000 infections as of today. There'll be 250,000 a week from now. So we'll check back here next Sunday. It's probably going to be over 200, maybe 250,000 people. They're going to have, it was the Dr. Fauci was on, you know, the little guy that does all the talking for the American government. Dr. Fauci estimated between 100 and 200,000 deaths in the U.S. Unfortunately, this is a tragic situation. We are going to be in lockdown for months. It's not going to be easy to come out of this. It's going to have to take a very precise testing procedure for entire areas for us to come out of this. I suspect we're not going to be back to normal In Canada, probably until June, July, and in the US, probably even longer, and the same thing for Europe. So it's going to be long and ugly. Car factories are going to be shuttered, and dealerships are going to be shuttered, and the printing presses of central banks is going to be going overtime to keep everything going. So unfortunately, that's what we're into. But those, as I mentioned, that are going to be able to access maybe online shopping, or if you have to buy a car, there's going to be some good deals out there. Ian, huge fan. Is the X3 noticeably more dynamic than the Q5? I fear the front heavy design of Audi's platform. X3 is a great handling car. I think that the Q5 is a good all-rounder, and I would say that the Q5 doesn't feel front heavy. I don't know why you would think that, but the X3 I think is the performance sort of model in this category. Job says waiting for the Q80. If you're just tuning in now, Genesis is unveiling a worldwide reveal. This is the new world we're in. At 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, they're going to have a worldwide reveal of the Q80. And I'm going to turn a quick video on this and get it out. I was emailed pictures under full embargo. I can't show them to you. But yeah, we're going to wait and see that vehicle. The video will be out probably 11:30, 12 o'clock Eastern, and around 9 o'clock our time. Hey, just watched an excellent review on the AMG 45, with that being the high market in my opinion, and the Toyota Corolla low. What do you like in between other than the obvious VW, Mini, and Miata? I'm just trying to think now off the top of my head. If you're talking about little hatchbacks, GTI, of course, Golf R, I would say that the AMG 45 and the Golf R would be pretty close competitors. The Miata, I wouldn't consider that. The John Cooper Works is definitely one in there, so I'm not really sure exactly what you're after there, but yeah, we don't have a lot of hot hatches like you do in Europe for sure. Hey Zach, top 5 car features. Mine are adaptive cruise control, heated cooled seats, head-up display, 4 LED headlamps, pano sunroof. Love the extra shows. I would say for me, it is heated seats, heated steering wheel, keyless entry, like not having to get the key out and lock the car and start the car. So heated seats, heated steering wheel, keyless entry and start. I would say, I wouldn't say LED headlamps, because our current Cayenne has the dynamic LED headlamps, and our previous Cayenne had the top, whatever the top was, they were the xenon headlamps in the previous model. I think the xenons were better actually. What other features do I like? I think wireless charging is one I love, and I love the around cameras. It's different for everybody. I hate panoramic sunroofs. I don't like them at all. Head-up display, could care less. This is no diss against you. Adaptive cruise control, can't stand it. I find it, I'm a better driver than any automated system I've ever used. So I use them for a short time to try them out, then I turn them off because it's just like, oh my God, this is so annoying. I can drive better than this car. So I switch them off. So good for you. My brother has dynamic cruise control in his Sienna van. He bought it just for that, because he drives to Florida and he goes hours just letting the car drive itself. Hey Zach, thank you for the great show. Are you doing a review of the new Nissan Titan? I heard Nissan will not have a diesel engine for the new Titan. Can you give me your thoughts on it? I'm not going to get my hands on a Titan anytime soon, because Nissan has shut down the vehicle availability. They were going to have an event here next week for 2 of their vehicles here in the Vancouver area. It was a Canadian press event for Rogue. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. And I have heard from people at Nissan saying that they're going to really try and get some more marketing and exposure for the Titan. I kind of think this is one of their last chances to do it. They put so much money into the Titan, factories, research and development, all of that. It has not paid any dividends for them at all. I like the truck. Unfortunately, in my opinion, there are better trucks, and the diesel is not the right diesel engine. Having a V8 Cummins diesel isn't the engine that people are looking for. We had one as a test vehicle for driving TV for a while, and it was horrible on gas. It just sucked diesel like crazy. We actually sent it back because we thought there was something wrong with it. It was so bad on fuel. So, you know, I just don't know how they're going to get themselves out of the Titan situation, because styling, and when it came out, I was like, that is ugly. Is there anything really better than anybody else? Because if you're wanting a heavy duty towing capable truck, which the Cummins diesel could do, well, the North Americans will sell you one of those all day long in a heavy duty vehicle. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I don't mind it. I just don't love it. Hey, Zach, I only subscribe to 5 YouTube channels. This channel, the sweet and sour, are 2 of my 5. You do have personality. Well, thank you. That's very nice of you. I think you're referring to previously, I was saying that I try to make this about the product and not so much about personality, but of course your personality comes through when you do these, when you do enough of them. I don't know the bog word, sorry. Do you think that the 2.5 turbo in the CX-5, what do you think of the 2.5 turbo in the CX-5? It's bigger than a 2-liter. Well, yeah, it's a 2.5. The 2.5 turbo that is used in the Mazda 6 and it's used in the CX-5 is not like a typical, like most brands have a 2-liter turbo engine that have that real sort of snap to it. Because of the low compression of this engine, the high compression of the engine and the turbocharged nature of the engine, it has a surge of low-end torque very similar to a diesel. It doesn't feel like a lot of its direct competitors. It has this really torquey feel to it. And when you drive it in the CX-9, which is the 3-low large vehicle, it actually works really, really well because of that. And I think it's a very satisfying experience in a utility. And I think that's why if I was buying a CX-5 and I could afford it, I would always go for the turbo. So I hope you enjoy it, Mark. I think it's a great product. I know that you're a fan of the Hyundai Kona. Reputable publications say there's a Kona R coming. Well, that would be fun. I think we're going to start to see that. With a lot of these small utility vehicles, where brands used to focus on sort of the hot hatch, the compact car, sort of high performance versions. Once we start to see sort of performance versions of small SUVs, they'll all do it. And I think that would be great, like to have an N-line and then to have, you know, like if we got a true sort of smaller utility under the Tiguan, but like the R that they have of the T-Roc in Europe. Now that would be great to get here. Civic Type R or Golf R. These are very different cars. Okay, of course one is all-wheel drive and one isn't. The Golf R is what I call Audi light. It has a very Audi feel to it. It's very sort of smooth and refined. It isn't that edgy at all. In fact, we drove it on the track in Calabogie a couple of summers ago, and you can watch the video if you go on the channel. And I mentioned when I was driving it, and who was our pro driver? We had Patrick Carpentier was our lead driver, and we got to follow him around the track. It was a lot of fun. But that really reinforced to me that the Golf R feels more like an Audi, okay? The Civic Type R is the real boy racer in the bunch. It's much edgier. You feel more of the road. You get that direct visceral connection. The engine is just so awesome. The steering feel is poof, edgy and direct. You just feel like you're slammed down in the car. It's just the real boy racer of the bunch, but it's actually really quite easy to drive in everyday situations. In fact, I did a video a year and a half ago, 2 years ago almost, talking about is the Civic Type R an everyday vehicle, and I do believe it is. Now the only concern is if you drive in winter, but yeah, they're very different cars. Ryan, hi Zach, just wondering if you can explain the difference between the new Sorento and Telluride, please. Will the Highlander be more competing against the Sorento? Thanks. Yes, that is true. So Telluride is bigger. Like if you look at the Telluride and Palisade, that's more Atlas size, okay? And the Sorento has always been sort of an in-betweener between a compact vehicle and those bigger vehicles. And I think probably, now that I think of it, the Highlander would be probably more towards the Telluride. The Sorrento's always been a very interesting vehicle. So on the Hyundai side, they have Santa Fe, and then they have Palisade. And they used to, in the middle there, have the Santa Fe XL, the longer version with the third row of seats. On the Kia side, they never ever had that XL or that long wheelbase version, because the Sorento was always just a little bit bigger. So it is not quite the same size as Telluride, but it's not as small as Santa Fe. You understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of an in-betweener. Now, it's not going to be the vehicle of choice if you're going to use that third row of seats all the time, okay? It's only for a pinch. It's only for small kids. If you really need to take people and a lot more cargo, do yourself a favor and get either the Palisade or the Telluride. Fantastic vehicles, and I think some of the best new vehicles I've driven in the last year or so. Does that make sense? It's sort of a tweener. The Sorrento's a tweener. Hey, Zach. This was referring to the Porsche question I asked at the beginning of the session. Yes, I'm looking for a car. Cayman or Boxster or some 911 variant, 40,000 budget. Okay, if you're looking for your first Porsche and you have about a $40,000 budget, I would look for a Boxster or a Cayman, flat six engine, and go for the S model, okay? So you get the better brakes, you get the bigger engine, you get more horsepower, all those sorts of things. It's just a better car. So look for a Cayman or a Boxster S, okay? And probably up to $40,000, you're going to be looking at sort of 2009 to 2013 cars, okay? I want you to look at 2009 and newer, all right? Because that's when they changed the engine to direct injection. Also, the head units are better, and that's where you get things like display audio. You can plug your phone in, that sort of stuff. On the 911 side, you're not getting an S, in my opinion, probably for $40,000. Same thing though. Please, if you're going to look for just a regular Carrera, not an S, you're going to want to look for 2009 and newer, all right? Because same thing, direct injection, you're going to get the better head unit and stuff like that. Bluetooth, that's the big one. 2009 Porsche added Bluetooth. So that's why you want to get that model year or newer. The reality is you're probably looking at Boxster or Cayman. Get the lowest mileage, best preserved, best maintained one you can find, and have it inspected by somebody that knows these cars very well and enjoy the hell out of it. It'd probably be a Boxster S. TLC Cromwell, hey, I enjoy watching and I'm subscribed. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm trying to get the subscribers up. You know, I've never done that whole like and subscribe thing in any of my videos for 10 years. And that's probably stupid on my part because I'm not that bright. But now I'm really starting to do it because why not? Paul Lindo, Quattro, 4MATIC, or X-Drive? Quattro, 4MATIC, or X-Drive? Are they all the same? My neighbor insists Quattro is superior. Is he right? Well, Quattro is a brand name. There's different types of systems depending on the car. For example, the A3 uses a Haldex system that is also shared with Volkswagen. That is a different system than you get with the other products. Most of the 4MATIC systems are rear bias, except for that A-class group of vehicles. Remember, you used to have the B-class, the CLA, all those cars. They were front-wheel drive based products that had a disengaging rear differential. Okay, so the drive shaft would go down to the rear diff and it would just free spin. And then there's a little clutch pack in there and it would engage the rear wheels for power and slip when you needed it. That's what they have on the sort of like the A3 and the Volkswagen system. When you get into the higher price cars, like you get the GLC, you get the X3, you get the not the Q5, but it basically goes from a front-wheel drive base system to a rear-wheel drive system. And the rear-wheel drive systems are better for handling, not necessarily for traction, because some of those other systems that try to push the power to the front wheels as much as they can and only shift it to the rear when it needs more grip, they're actually quite good in the snow. But I would, a Quattro, the original Quattro system way back in the 80s, in the Quattro, fancy rally car, yeah, that was a superior system at the time because nobody was doing anything. The X-Drive system that's developed by Magna, the Canadian parts supplier company, is used by Genesis in their cars, used by Hyundai in their cars, is a very good system. They all have pros and cons, but I wouldn't say there's one winner or one loser. Which vehicle launch or auto show are you most disappointed to see canceled or delayed? Well, New York, it was supposed to be next week, and I just love going to New York. I haven't been to New York in a few years. The last time I was in New York, I got really bad food poisoning. We got to fly in a night before. We stayed at the Knickerbocker Hotel, which is right at Times Square. The hotel had only been open for about 4 or 5 days. We were some of the very first guests to stay in it. And there's nothing nicer than staying in a fancy 5-star hotel when you're the first person that's ever slept in the bed. Now that's nice. The towels are fresh, fresh, fresh. The sheets are crisp, really good. However, Zach got food poisoning, and I spent the whole next day in that bed or barfing. And then I shuffled around the Javits Center. I felt so sick. And I was in New York, and I didn't even really get to enjoy it. So I'm really disappointed that I'm not going to New York next week for the auto show. Geneva, that was canceled a few weeks ago. I like the Geneva Motor Show. I don't like the city of Geneva at all. I just don't see why anybody would go there. Nothing about Geneva, I think, is really redeeming at all, except there are lots of nice watches there. And what else is being delayed or canceled? Detroit Auto Show, just yesterday was canceled. It was going to be rescheduled for June. That was the new time and place for the Detroit Auto Show. And I'm disappointed I'm not going there because I wanted to see what they were going to do. It's going to be a whole new show. They're going to have it outside and inside. They're going to have driving experiences and all that. So anyway, that's disappointing. This will all come back. It's going to take a while, but it's going to take a while. Mustang GT or Benz Coupe E55. That's tough. I mean, the Mercedes is going to be much more refined and subtle. And the Mustang, in my opinion, the Mustang GT is I would put right up there with the MX-5 Miata as one of those cars that you have to drive it to experience it, to enjoy it, to know exactly what you're missing out on. Because I believe that the current Mustang GT is a phenomenal car. It has really good direct steering. It's got that beautiful loud V8 engine, great transmission. You can slide the rear end around. It captures a different kind of era of cars that I grew up with and really aren't made anymore. So that's why I love it. The Mercedes is going to be like a modern muscle version of that, but it isn't the same. Which one would I choose? I would go Mustang GT. Why is the current Gen Tiguan very slow? We have the first Gen Tiguan, it seems much faster. Well, the first Gen Tiguan is smaller, quite a bit smaller. The 2-liter turbo engine had more power, had 200 horsepower. The current Tiguan doesn't have that. I think it's 186 or 184 or something like that. It's all a slave to fuel economy. They wanted to have a mass appeal utility that moved people and kids around, didn't use a lot of fuel, and that's the goal. And they achieved that. Here's what I think. Tiguan is going to be refreshed. They're just refreshing Atlas this year. So they have a new facelifted Atlas. I was supposed to be going at the end of April to San Francisco to drive that. We did luckily get the Atlas Cross Sport reveal at Whistler here done just a week or so before everything was shut down. So that video is on the channel. But I think that next year they're going to introduce heavily updated or new Tiguan, and that will have more power. I'm pretty sure of it. Ryan Lee, when it's over, I'm treating myself to a decent watch. Which one is better, a Breitling Navitimer or Omega Moonwatch? Sorry, I'm new to watch collecting. I'm not even sure if normal people can get them. I'm not sure you mean if normal people can get them. If it's between a Breitling Navitimer or an Omega Moonwatch, this is easy. You got a man on the moon watch. If anybody watches watch reviews online, you know the guy that goes, man on the moon. And leave a comment below if you know who I'm talking about. This is easy. Do yourself a favor. Get an Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch. Every guy who is starting out your very first prestige luxury timepiece should be an Omega Speedmaster. It's funny because somebody else was emailing me and asked the same thing. What were the two watches he was looking at? I can't remember what the other one was. And I said, do yourself a favor. You're going to buy a Speedmaster Professional, so just get it. It's a great first watch. And it really, really is very, very versatile. I don't like the Navitimer at all. Now, one of the reasons is because the Breitling Navitimer, if you don't know what this is, Google it when you get a moment. It's got one of the busiest dials. I can't read the damn thing. There's so much crap on the dial, I can't read it. As just a function of a watch, get the Speedy Pro. And somebody else asked me below, what watch are you wearing? This is, what am I watching? I'm wearing a Tudor Submariner from the middle of the 1990s. I've been wearing this one a lot. There are crap cars. They're called Chrysler and GM. That is not really true. General Motors has been producing some very high quality cars lately, and their quality scores are showing it. I totally disagree with you on that. And one brand that is actually coming up in quality scores the fastest is Chrysler, and one brand that is actually doing quite well is Jeep, and there are certain Jeeps that the reliability is very good. I have zero problems recommending a Grand Cherokee to anybody. I think it's a fantastic product. My coworker is selling a 13 BMW M3 automatic for $35,000. Is it worth it? Well, first of all, this is now a 7-year-old BMW M3. You really need to do your homework on a car like that, because when you're buying a prestige car, especially when you're buying a performance version of a prestige car, you're buying the previous owner's maintenance and commitment to keeping the car up, and if they've abused the car. If you're really considering buying a used M3, it has to be inspected by somebody that knows not only the brand, so BMW, but also knows what to look for on M cars, because I'm not sure if you know what M stands for BMW M cars. M stands for money. It takes a lot to keep these cars running. Ask me how I know. I used to have an M6. So, and you will see some of the cheapest used cars online are high performance German AMG and M cars that are just so far gone, they're not even worth anything other than parts. Would you spend $35,000 on a 2016 Touareg TDI or a brand new Kia Sorento? Oh man. It really comes down to your threshold for pain, okay? If you are somebody that is not willing to put up with any issues that might have to get sorted on a vehicle, get the brand new car. If, however, you're somebody that's willing to, every once in a while, if the vehicle needs some extra service or an issue's popped up, the Touareg could be a great product. And one thing that you're maybe not aware of, all of the vehicles that were caught up in this Dieselgate situation from Volkswagen, Audi, and Porsche that had the diesel engines in them qualified for an extra 2-year warranty. So a 2016 Touareg would be a 4-year warranty, because that's what Volkswagen offers, and then another 2-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. So that would take you to 2022. And a lot of the major components were then covered for another 4 years. So there could be some extra work to keeping that car, but it'll be under, all the major components of that vehicle will be under warranty for a long time. But if you're not willing to put up with the pain of having to deal with that every once in a while, get the brand new car. Where's Where am I now? Well, it's jumping around on me, jumping around on me. Hey, Zach, I bought an Acura RLX. That's great. Big congratulations on joining the Motoring Dream Team. Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate that. It's been fun working for those guys. Hopefully you're watching Motoring TV on TSN every week. My friends all drive Porsches. Must make amends. Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? Hallelujah, Janis Joplin. Scott Levin says, sure wish they had the Touareg back. Hallelujah to that. Touareg was a great product. Unfortunately, not for sale any longer. And the new Touareg is so much like the Audi and Porsche cousins in Europe. They're beautiful cars. I've seen them in Europe, but yeah, not for us. Can you talk about Lexus reliability versus German cars for long-term ownership? Now, I'm going to break this into a couple of different categories. Lexus reliability is some of the best in the business, or if not the best in the business. German cars, I will take Porsche out of it and put them in an own category and then lump everybody else in together. German cars, long-term ownership, I will say, having owned pretty much exclusively German cars for the last 20 years. Not exclusively. I've had a Honda Accord we had. I have a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck currently. I've had Japanese cars and things in the past. But I will say, if you have a German car and you maintain it and you look after it, they will last a long time. If you really put the money into keeping them up, they will go indefinitely. And everything is repairable and fixable on those cars. But yes, if you're looking for long-term, just buy it and drive it and not worry about it, it's a Lexus. But I would say of that German set, you take Porsche out, and that is sort of a separate entity. Their cars are, in my opinion, the best of the German breed, and their quality is rivals many Japanese brands. I'm looking at a 19 Subaru Impreza Sport with eyesight. That was a commercial vehicle on Carfax. It's around 35,000 kilometers. Is it a good buy? I'm not sure what commercial means. You need to find out more about that. So a couple of things you want to do is you want to do a cross comparison by what they're asking for the car by going to Canadian Black Book and looking up the wholesale and retail price of that car and then reference it against that. And then we find out more by the seller what commercial vehicle meant. Audi R8 versus Acura NSX. Which one would you get? Also, I understand you're not a huge fan of Tesla. Can you elaborate on that, please? The NSX is a very cool car. The technology in that car is very comfortable. R8 is very comfortable as well. Here's a news flash for you. I don't like mid-engine exotic sports cars. They don't do anything for me because they all look very similar. Whether it's a McLaren or a Ferrari or an NSX or an R8, they all have a similar, they just don't do anything for me. So they're not cars I actually gravitate towards. I like if it's a Ferrari, I like the long nose, front engine, rear wheel drive Ferraris. Those to me are the sexiest ones, especially the ones made in the 60s. I'm not a huge fan of Tesla is that I'm not a huge fan of the company and the way they operate, and mostly the way Elon Musk operates. I mean, most other companies, if you had a CEO that speaks so many mistruths and misleading information, the SEC would shut him down, but he seems to get a long leash. I'm just not a fan of the way that they run their business. I mean, a lot of it is just announce things and then figure out how to do it after the fact. It's not really how car companies, in my opinion, have worked, and it might be their success and it might be their downfall. As I mentioned in the last live show, I think when you start to look at other companies coming online like Rivian, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I'm just going through some of these because I'm up against the clock. I think I got to go because I think we're going to have something to eat now. So thanks to everybody. Don't worry, I read all of the questions, and I also will be back Tuesday at the same time, and Thursday and Sunday. So it's going to be Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at the same time doing more of these live chats. People seem to like them. Everybody's cooped up at home. I get it. So I'm going to go and eat now, and after that, I'm going to come down and watch the live stream from Korea for the G80, and I'm going to capture the images and turn around and do a quick video. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be coming out late tonight or early tomorrow morning. And everybody take care of themselves. Do what you're told. Stay home. Be with your family. Hug them, kiss them, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.